we have a team. It's of African kids, it's Black American kids, it's even kids from the diaspora that come to Ghana, nationalize themselves, and we have a team that can compete.
Speaking of international games, I know that the team has gone through some challenges. At a point, they were getting so much media attention, news from all around the world about you being the person bringing water polo to Ghana. They got so much attention that they ended up getting an invitation to go play in Italy. And I was so excited, and they were all so excited, only to have that dream just go
dashed.
Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. In Ghana, water polo is not a sport that has been traditionally looked at as something that people would do here. First of all, you don't hear about kids talking about getting into water sports so much. It's always about football, also known as soccer in North America. So what about water polo? You know, if you follow me on my channel, you have seen me bring this man on this channel before, where he's talking about his journey and starting the Black Star Water Polo here in Ghana, teaching young people how to be athletes in this particular sport. So this is an update video, but for some of you who've never seen him before, we'll still do an introduction. His name is Kofi Asante Sefa Boakye, also known as Sante Prince. He's also a rapper, musician. So let's get into this conversation today with, I'll call him Sante Prince, his hip hop moniker. Coach Asante, as the kids call you.
That's me.
It's good to see you back in Ghana.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, I know that you go back and forth between the US and Ghana.
Correct.
With all of the things that you've been doing. And then the fact that you are half Ghanaian, half African American.
Correct.
You know, you have a connection to the soil.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to, first of all, because I know you're from California.
Right.
And we've been seeing, unfortunately, the fires that have been happening. I hope that any of your friends and family weren't affected by.
So I don't think we were directly affected, but that's even hard to say because, you know, LA and where I grew up in San Diego, they're just 2 hours apart. And I think anybody in California can see the magnitude of how devastating these fires are. It's affecting everybody. Even if we were not directly affected, there's a lot of empathy that's happening. And, you know, I think my immediate family is cool. We do have family in LA. And so far, we haven't had anything that where they had to be evacuated or situations where their houses have burned down. But still, it's just dominating all the news. It's hard to watch any social media or TV shows because that's all that you'll see. It's almost like an apocalyptic site.
It is.
And I know the areas too, like Malibu and like the Palisades, all that side. I used to even work out and swim in those sides every now and then. And now seeing them just gone, burned down. And it's a little wild because about 7 years ago, there was another terrible fire that my community was involved in. This is around Thousand Oaks. So I am familiar with the idea of having to be on standby in case you have to evacuate because flames are getting closer and seeing ash in the air. And it's devastating, you know. It's something that I don't wish upon anybody, and I know that scenario so very well. And I hope the fires continue to become contained. And with these tragedies, it's also very good that we see so many people come together to organize donations and support and food and blankets and different ways to support each other because that's, you know, that's the biggest thing. That's really the only thing we can do. You know? Things are burning down. We just need communities to come together and help out.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with all the people who are going through what they're going through and hoping that they get the support they need. Definitely. So shifting, you are, as I mentioned, originally from California.
Correct.
And I want to know a little bit about your history with water polo. You played professional water polo.
Yeah, I did.
Like, what made you even think about going into that sport in the first place? Because a lot of times we hear about kids in the African American community, and they think about basketball, football, maybe baseball.
Right.
Track and field, but we don't often hear about the water sports because of all of the stereotypes about Black people and water sports. What made you decide to get into that?
Man, it was not by choice. I can tell you that right now. We grew up on a coastal city. San Diego is a beach city. And sure enough, my parents put me into a bunch of different sports beforehand. It was soccer, it was baseball, it was tennis, it was golf, different things. And I wasn't athletic as a kid, but somehow my family made friends with other water polo families, and they said, hey, you should get into swimming because swimming is good for asthma. We grew up with asthma. So through that was the solution to cure our asthma. It wasn't my first choice. I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy losing and being so behind in all the workouts and the swimming and the exercise that I said, okay, we gotta, come on, if we have no choice to play this game, we have to take it seriously. So took it serious, started to get real competitive in high school, got to play in college, and then during that time, the hunger continued, and then said, you know what, I still want to keep playing, and did a trip through Europe to train with different club teams and see if there's a team I could stay with, and then ended up choosing Brazil to play there for 2 seasons. 2016, 2017, and then making the choice to coach and be a part of this game and now start a program here in Ghana.
Traveling through Europe and everything, what made you choose Brazil?
Brazil, I had some friends, maybe not teammates, but some friends that I saw their pictures of them playing in Brazil, and that just felt like more of a connection, because actually there are 2 locations in the water polo world that kind of mirror the collegiate seasons for men, through the fall and the spring, fall, winter, and spring, really. And I remember I was looking at trying to go to Australia for their 9-month season, and I don't know, I think Brazil just was one that kind of drew out to me more. And it was also the Olympics 2016. So I said, let me just go there during the Olympics. And sure enough, the team that I played with, Botafogo, that team, after the Olympic Games, there were about 4 athletes that were on Team Brazil that were on the club team. So I was playing with Olympians that were just finishing their time in the Olympics. So it was a strong team I was on, strong competition, great coaching staff, and a great experience. But Brazil, and also I think just Brazil having the largest African population is what subconsciously drew me to go over there.
Okay. And so after playing for a few years, what drew you to come to Ghana eventually? I know your father's from Ghana.
Correct.
And so you have that tie already. Had you visited Ghana before you decided to come and do the water polo?
So it kind of happened all at once. Coming to visit Ghana. So I visited Ghana during high school to college, my high school to college transition. So that was when I was still very much competitive, finishing off senior year, team captain, still having these dreams to play national team, professional level. And then coming to Ghana, still trying to find ways to maintain, my fitness, running, exercising, push-ups, whatever. So while I'm in Ghana, I'm saying, wait a second, how cool would it be to one day create a team here? That'd be really cool, Yeah, look at everybody here on the side of the road, by the beach, everybody's strong, naturally fit. Yeah, maybe it can work one day. And then it was just an idea that I tucked away in my pocket for so many years. So I think that was a subconscious guide for me that, hey, let's keep playing for other teams to still kind of put some more fire in that furnace to create a team for Ghana one day. That's always been like a baseline motivation through high school, through college, more so through college and then through the international career. And now, I think we're here.
So after that seed was planted, what year was it that you came back and then actually strategically started to find people to play on the team? Like, how did you find these athletes?
Okay. So 2018 was the first introduction. I reached out to the Ghana Swimming Association saying, hey, I'm a player from the U.S., got some equipment, would love to see how it can grow. So they introduced me to a school in Central Region, one of the only schools, I believe at the time, with a pool. Went over there, did a clinic, met the staff, met the kids, and that was the beginning. Then we came back to visit family the next year, 2019, repeated the same process, brought more equipment, worked with the same kids from the year before. That was, winter 2019 and then January 2020. And then the world went upside down for this thing called COVID. And then that's when I decided, I have this idea and it's great to talk about it, it's great to dream about it, but let's go and lay the bricks down. And 2021, that was the year when I decided to come here and dedicate a good amount of time to developing the kids that I worked with, and then also going out to different areas in Accra and Kumasi, Eastern region, to say, hey, this is what's going to happen, and this is how you can be a part of it. And the strategy was, let's go to the coastal communities, because swimming is obviously not a big part of our culture, because we're dominated by football.
Yeah.
But if you go to the coastal areas, you'll see all these communities jumping in the water, swimming, fishing, just more comfortable around lakes and rivers and oceans than other communities. So that was the strategy from the beginning.
Okay.
Go close to the water.
And so when you approach these kids, like, what are some of the things that you remember about how they responded? Because they must have been like, who's this guy? And who's this guy coming in asking me to play this
Rasta
sport?
guy coming here to swim. This guy. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, man. Nobody got it, because you bring the ball and everybody thinks it's a football. So no, any football. And they say, oh, it's a volleyball. No, any volleyball. And it was more just showing and telling, you know? Because even still, I can speak about it, I can explain it, but people will not understand until they see it. Mm-hmm. So it started off as just me jumping in the ocean and swimming out far, doing an open water swim. And then them just being like, wait a second, this is crazy, because if somebody jumps in the water and swims out far, it's because they're not coming back.
Yeah.
It's a death wish. They're leaving it all behind. So there was a lot of panic when I would do that. But then when I would come back, that was when the fascination sparked and the trust kicked in, because I would go out alone at first. Then I'd bring one or two of the senior kids, then some of the younger kids. Now it's a group of 15, 20 kids going out and coming back in together. And that was kind of the way to be like, all right, now we can control this, this way we can go into the ocean, as a fitness, swimming, as opposed to just going out to fish and just going out to the water, only until it reaches our knees. Because that's how it was. The kids of the coastal communities, they would just go and splash around. Nobody would ever go out past the waves. So now there was this introduction, and then showing videos, and then taking them to the pool, and just show and tell, just throwing the ball in, and I would do a move and have them try to copy it. And then when they would see how difficult it was, then they would want to take on the challenge. Saying, okay, I've never been able to go to the deep side, but now I want to try it. And now they try it, now they conquer it, and now we have a whole team. But it was met with a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
They just was like, people don't go to the water to swim.
Yeah.
Some people only drink water.
Yeah. Wow. And how many kids did you get to agree, like in total, from these different communities, if you remember?
I think it was about an average of 20. Because the first team that I worked with, that's Awutu Winton Senior High School. They're the top seed. They're the best team right now. Best water polo team in Ghana. And it's just a group of 20, boys and girls, going into their small learn to swim pool, giving them different drills, showing them videos. Then it was working with the Accra community by the Arts Center, using the ocean there. And the strategy there was, all right, let's get these kids comfortable with the beach water. So when they go to the pool, there's no current, there's no rip tide,
Right.
so they'll be able to be strong. And getting a group of, again, 20 of the teenage, 20-something-year-old kids that are working there as fishermen. Then going to Kumasi side at KNUST, getting the group of their students, alumni, to swim at that pool. Then going to Bosom Tree, and same deal, just saying who wants to join, who wants to play. And it averaged to being about 20 at each side. And it was just simple. It was like, hey, if you want to join, simple. That's all you have. My tryout was, who is not afraid to get in the water? And if you're not afraid to come out far, congratulations, you're on the team. And then people that would watch us go out, they would sit and get sad. Say, man, I wish I could go out with them. And that's what would prompt them to learn to swim. And now, they're the people in those communities that are now swimming with us. They're telling the people who aren't swimming, hey, no, you can do it, join the team, be a part of it. And it's now just really reducing this trauma, reducing this fear. Because people see how much fun they're having in the pools, in the lakes, in the rivers. And the young kids are like, no, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this. I want to learn how to swim. And it just snowballs now into something beautiful.
Have you ever been criticized by people to say that you should be using this skill of yours to teach African American kids in the US versus coming to Ghana? Has anybody criticized you about that?
I think people have definitely made a note about it. But again, there's the strategy there, because as soon as when I came back from doing the first chapter in Ghana, I went to my local communities and did the same thing with the African American youth over there.
Okay.
Just to put that fire out before it could even start burning. Because, people can always say, well, we got kids here. Why do you got to go all the way over there? And to me, I look at it as just tending to the root. If I come here, it's more, to me, people can say, wait a second, there's a team in Africa that's doing this. There's a group in Africa learning how to swim. Now I have 2 reasons to go visit Africa. And then when I come to the US and I work with the African American kids there, now it's even encouraging because I can say, listen, there's a group in Africa that's swimming and I'm teaching you the same skills so that whenever the day comes when you go back there, you have something in common. And it's not like that's not a part of the plan. It's not like we're only focusing on Africans. We're focusing on, anybody in the diaspora to get involved in swimming. And, water polo is great, but the real thing about it is this water safety, this learning to swim, this drowning prevention, and it affects everybody all over the world. So now, present day, the most exciting thing has been, I can speak about how we have kids in Africa that have been a part of the program, kids in the US that have been a part of the program, and now they're both inspired by each other. We've got African American kids in the US that say, wow, I want to go play with the Ghana team. You got the kids in Ghana saying, I can't wait to go to the US, And the bigger solution to this criticism is also now you can see Howard University has a water polo team.
Oh, they do? Is
They
it
do.
new?
Brand new.
Really?
They have a water polo team. Yep. And they recently have a swimming and diving team, all black. So I know now Howard is doing their part to do more trips to Ghana. So I see my lane to sneak in and say, hey, while you're coming to Ghana, get some of the aquatic athletes to come here. So now we can create that bridge between Howard and Ghana. So, I mean, if people do criticize about why don't you help out the black kids here, it's temporary because they're going to see and can just Google that we've done events in the U.S. The biggest site that we've done our programs have been at the Jackie Robinson YMCA in San Diego. I mean, that's about as black American as you can get. So I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay. I ask because there's a lot of times when people choose to do things on the African continent, like some high-profile people get criticized. For example, Oprah was criticized for doing schools in South Africa, saying, well, why don't you do them in America for the community? So things like that. Sometimes people feel a little like, oh, why not for us? Why only there? Yeah, so I was just curious because I know that it's something that could come up. Not knowing that it actually did. Yeah.
No, it has. And I think doing those things, you are, like it's in the fine print. You're going to go do something in Africa, you're aware that you have to be prepared for those kind of comments and remarks. And you've got to be more prepared on how to respond to that and just include that in the plan, Just do it back and forth because, it's a finite amount of people that understand the bigger picture, that know doing this in Africa means you're benefiting kids and people in the U.S., but you do have to find a way to lay it out. And, and it makes sense to me. It's almost similar to when somebody asked me a similar question. They said, hey, you're doing this great thing for the kids, but is there a girls team? Are you doing a ladies team? I said, what do you mean? Of course we're doing a ladies team. And I think people just don't, think that these plans are fully thought out. Or these things are fully included. Like, of course, I'm going to do a program for in the African continent and for the black kids in the U.S. Of course, I'm going to do a program for boys and girls because this is something where everybody can benefit from. You're learning to play a game, but you're learning water safety, drowning prevention, and just being able to be a part of this aquatic avenue that we've been excluded from so many years. So,
good stuff. Good stuff.
That's cool.
So, Black Star Water Polo is what you branded it as.
Correct.
And how many teams do you have now with all the communities that you've selected children from, teenagers and young men and women? So
7 teams is about the baseline of it. We've got, some of the teams are so big, we split them up into an A team and a B team. So the first team that I worked with at Wutu Winton Senior High School, that was the first group. Now they're big enough that we have an A team, a B team, and a ladies team. So they really make up 3. Then we have our Accra Arts Center team. That's about maybe 15 kids. Then we have a team of students from KNUST. They're about 10 kids over there. Then we have the community, the Abano community of Lake Bosantree. They're another big team too. They're probably going to be an A team and a B team. I think that's about 8. I think that's everybody. Our Lake, KNUST, Accra, Awutu Winton. And then each of those teams, they may have maybe 2 or 3 girls. And then we just put them all on one ladies team and they'll play against each other. So the biggest days for the water polo with Black Star Polo in Ghana is the first tournament of the season. That's one in January. We see anywhere from 80 to 100 kids, 7, 8 teams just ready. You know, they come, they're serious. We'll do the warm-ups at the beginning. They'll jump in the water. And the way these teams are run, it's basically like who wants to be a part of it. The community leaders will be their coaches. So we'll send them the workouts. We'll send them this and that. The ones who are always already watching the kids, like, hey, stay out of trouble. Don't do this. Just give them this new role as a coach. And they commit to it, man. They, you know, it's a new purpose for them. And now they are fully committed. They get it. They research. They see the big vision. They feel very empowered that they are, you know, the sport is not as diverse as it could be. So there's a big empowerment factor when they realize, wait a second, we're the only black team, like one of the only black teams in the world. Okay, this is cool. Nobody else is doing this. So that is something that they can really gravitate towards. And
what's the big vision?
Obviously, our big vision is we want to get a team to go to the Olympics. The big plan was 2028. I mean, it still is, anything's possible. But just to have an all-black team from Africa represents at the highest level. And I've been saying 2028 as a foreseeable goal, but I think people also need to understand that we have 2028, and then we also have 2032 and 2036. So this is really just the beginning of a cycle that's going to keep continuing. And, you know, you ask any of the high-level teams, any Olympic water polo player, anybody that's been playing for years, they know that it's a long-term plan. You know, even for Ghana, it didn't start teaching the X's and O's of water polo. It started, hey, you can be comfortable in the water. Hey, you can learn how to swim. Hey, you can float. You don't have to panic. Okay, now we can teach you the game. So we have a whole process of teaching before the game, you know? And what I've been realizing, or a part of the journey, has been the real gold medal has been just getting some of the kids to the pool and getting them to swim, getting them to now be comfortable in the water. That's been just an amazing feeling. So even if we have some of our kids that say, listen, coach, I think I'm all right. I swim. I'm able to now go to the U.S. and play in the U.S. at a university for water polo, and I think I'm going to just stop right there. That's a huge win for me. So Black Star Polo, it's already set up to be a win-win foundation, because baseline, getting people to know how to swim, drowning prevention, is the big win. Now, those that want to keep on playing to a higher level, that's the selfish gold medal for me. And we can create this national team that can go out and play. But a big vision is, you know, we have a team. It's of African kids, it's Black American kids, it's even kids from the diaspora that come to Ghana, nationalize themselves, and we have a team that can compete, you know, for the international games.
Speaking of international games, I know that the team has gone through some challenges. At a point, they were getting so much media attention, like all over the news. I saw news coming from the U.S., from some water polo associations, news from all around the world about you being the person bringing water polo to Ghana. And so they got so much attention that they ended up getting an invitation to go play in Italy. And I was so excited when I was like, oh my gosh, these kids are going to go to Italy. This is so exciting. And they were all so excited, only to have that dream just go
dashed.
Tell the story.
Dashed. So these kids, man, again, most of them come from the street side. And to get them to travel, we had to go through many hoops and challenges. Getting them their birth certificates, getting them their passports, getting appointments to go to the embassy. And mind you, some of these kids, they have no concept of birth dates. Funny story that I share is that I gathered the kids together one day. I said, hey, big opportunity. We need to find out everybody's birthday. Hey, when were you born? And the kid says Wednesday. I said, no, when were you born? Coach, I was born on Wednesday. Just no idea, no concept of a year. So we have to go to the villages, talk to the elders, try to figure out, okay, Who was the president when the kid was born? Do you remember any significant events happening what year, to try to pinpoint that? So all of that, and then getting the support from around the world, saying the first Ghana team going to this tournament, the first sub-Saharan African team getting out there, raising money, making trips back and forth, going back to the U.S. to do a show, raise money, come back to Ghana, train the team, and trying to get our appointments to go to the Italian embassy, which was the hardest thing. And all my coaching staff and my advisors here were just working overtime to make this thing happen. Then on the last day, when we're scheduled the flight, visas denied, everybody denied. And it was heartbreaking because we heard stories about people getting denied visas before, and we were just holding our breath that, okay, no, it's not going to happen to us because we have the invitation, we have the funds, we have the reason, we have the sponsorship. Like, no, it's not going to happen. And sure enough, and I can't even say the impossible happened because it's not a unique issue. I think
it happens a lot.
Yeah, more so than people saying we're so sorry this happened to you, or people shocked that it happened. People were just disappointed that it happened to us.
Yeah, because it was so hopeful.
Yeah.
These young kids who had never traveled, and the fact that they are playing a sport that is a new sport for Ghana.
Yeah.
And to go and represent Ghana. So it was really, really disappointing for a lot of people.
Yeah, and everybody was just like, this makes everything checked out. You guys are good, you're a team. And even while they were getting their interviews done, they were met with a lot of opposition of, when did you start playing water polo? Like, why do you think you can travel right now? Sometimes we give these visas and the kids run away when they go over there, so how do we know you're not going to do the same thing? And these kids are getting interrogated, and it's unfortunate for them, of course, to have this thing dashed, but, higher self as the adults and the mentor, secretly there is a little bit of, I'm happy with the lesson that they're going to walk away with, because they're finding out how the world works at such a young age. And them going through this terrible thing at 10, 11 years old, now they'll be set for life.
Yeah.
The disappointment they'll face later on in their life won't be anything serious.
They were very disappointed. I remember one of them had said to me, "Oh, Miss Ivy, I didn't even think that I would go anywhere. But then they're asking me if I'm going to run away." And I said, "Why would I run away? Because my mom is in Ghana. Why would I run away? I want to come home to my mom. I just want to go to Italy to swim and meet the other kids and try their pizza. That's all I want to do." So I didn't understand why they're asking me if I'm going to run away. I don't get it. So it's like literally a lesson being taught to them that there's this perception that people are always going to run away.
Yes.
But that wasn't even on his mind at all.
No.
At all.
No, and it wasn't on anybody's mind. And I think they knew, too. They knew that, hey, we have to be at our best, And just as we are, teaching them these lessons in the pool, in the gym, be on time, come to practice, give your all, and, leave it in the pool. They're seeing that same protocol with, hey, show up on time to the embassy office, come, dressed up very nice, be ready, be prepared, show up punctual. There's two types of training that's going on. Two types of character development. Character development as an athlete and as a citizen. So for them to now be working really hard as an athlete and then working really hard to be on time and then to get denied, that was one of the things that, in the car, they're crying. Like, "Coach, all the training we did. After all the training, we can't go." That's tough, And again, of course, I would have wanted them to all go to Italy, win a game, lose all games. It doesn't matter. You guys go there and you have the experience, and then you realize that, hey, there is a reward for hard work. Nothing goes unnoticed. And it was tough, man. It was tough. Everybody was bummed, and it was a really tough decision. Because I have my U.S. passport, so
You went to represent them.
I went to represent, but I was like, I don't even know if I should go, because I was like, I don't want to go if my team's not there. And I ended up going, and I went to the pickup, everything they did for me. They picked me up, went to the village, and it was like a mini Olympic Games for kids. They have all the country's flags. They have the dorms. I went to where I was supposed to be in my room, all empty beds. the Team Ghana. I had the big old box of their bags, their backpacks, their everything. It was a bummer. The Italians at this tournament, Haba Waba, were so very welcoming and so very, they just said, look, dude, we were praying this thing wasn't going to happen, and we're so sick at this decision. We're in solidarity with you. We want you to come back. Please don't take this decision as a reflection of us, because we want you here. They were so supportive. There was even a team from Egypt that was there. I remember one of these parents, they used to live in Ghana. They said, yeah, we had a Ghana flag.
Oh, ready to go to...
It was good to represent, but man, it was tough. It was tough, you know, because the tournament, it's for the kids. And not even just for the Ghana kids to go there, but for these other kids from all around Europe, all around the world, to now meet kids from Ghana, kids from Africa, because that's now bridging the gap. To the world. You said what?
We love Ghana.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Some of the kids, you know, they will go their whole life with no introduction to the continent, no face-to-face interaction. So now it's like, oh yeah, Ghana, I know Ghana. There was a kid that I played with in my water polo tournament that was from Ghana.
Right.
And, you know, it creates that relationship. But that was a tough one. But luckily, you know, the next part of the story is my teammates from Brazil reached out and said, hey, we're sorry. He said, yo, there's another tournament like this one, Haba Waba in Brazil. Try that one, because it might be easier for visas. And hey, I think, and then the flights that we got, there was still some credit that we could use. So long story short, we were able to just send two of our athletes, or one athlete and one coach, to Brazil.
Okay.
For that same experience.
So they didn't all get to go?
Not to Brazil.
Oh, okay.
So one got to go to Brazil, but he went, he represented, he wore the kente. Coach was there, first time on a plane, excited. He jumped in the pool for a game. He got to score a goal. They put our flag up high, the barriers there. It was beautiful. And then last year, the remaining athletes that couldn't attend the tournament, we got to take them go to South Africa. And that was the first almost full team trip where we got to get more kids on the plane, traveling to a different country. And got to play some games and win some games.
How did they feel being in South Africa? Because they were still on the continent, but they hadn't been outside of Ghana before. So how did that feel for them?
Outside of their village, outside of the capital, outside of anywhere. So they were ecstatic. They were happy, and you know, secretly I was watching them on the plane. They're holding onto the seats and kind of, you know, really nervous about flying and everything, but they were cool, and everything was a highlight for them. The escalator was a highlight. The elevator is a highlight. The coach focused on the games, and then we win the games. And hey, how did it feel? They said, Coach, this is great, but the best part about the trip is when we went to the arcade and got to do video games all day. And it's like, you know? And I want to be serious, but that's beautiful for them, you know?
Yeah.
They just go to the arcade and they take silly videos and run around, and that's what will keep them in the sport longer. Because they'll all have this positive memory with, we went to South Africa, we got to see different people, we got to meet this and that, see what's different to Ghana, see what's not different, or see what's similar to Ghana, you know, and yeah, it was cool, and it was very empowering for them, because, you know, the whole experience for them is like a silver medal. The gold medal obviously was going to Italy, but now it's like, hey, we didn't get the outcome we wanted, but we have this new opportunity that can even serve us better, you know, and still serve us. So, yeah, they were excited, and it's cool to be able to speak on this event that changed their lives. You know? Completely changed their lives.
Yeah, that's cool. So, so now we are in 2025, and you have another tournament coming. It is this coming weekend, right?
Yes.
How many tournaments do you try to do a year? Is it one or two a year?
So we have two big ones a year. We have the first one in January, that's the opening one. Then we have the finals. And then in between, from January through April, we'll have some league games, maybe two league games, maybe one tournament during the Independence weekend, just to get everybody together again and play. So, but the one in January is the biggest one. It's the continuation of the year before, and kind of like the ranking for this year going forward. And that's the most fun one. It's at the University of Ghana. That's when all the teams come together, students come together, travelers come in and they watch. And, that's when they come and they bring their A game. And that's been the event that has let the world know that Ghana is also a water polo country.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now with all the people, people are coming together, watching these games, you're spending time training. I'm sure you have, coaches on the ground helping you as well. How are you able to do this? Because this isn't something that can be done for free.
No, man, it's tough. So luckily I've got a big community in the US through my network as a performer, as a teacher, as a coach, as an athlete, a mentor, all these things. And when I first came 2021, that was when people said, wow, this is great. I remember you because you taught my kid, you tutored my kid, you coached my kid, blah, blah, blah. You coached me. I love your music. How can I support this? And then word just, spread like wildfire that, hey, this is great because everybody could get it, trying to bring diversity to a new sport that doesn't have any. And they said, this is a great idea. We get it. So a lot of fundraising was able to be birthed out of it through GoFundMe. I think we raised like $10,000 in a month.
That's great.
And I was like, okay, this is actually serious. Now we can elevate this GoFundMe to then becoming a nonprofit. So now we can shift from getting donations to actual grants and capital that can help me. Because with the kids, it's picking them up from the village, paying for the Uber, paying for the gas, paying for the pool space, paying for the food, paying to get them to back home, paying for renting out the pool space, paying to rent out the classroom for a clinic. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And then, dashing the staff that I have, the volunteers, because nothing is for free over here.
Right. And for those watching that don't know what dashing is, in Ghana, dashing is like...
It's like tipping.
It's like tipping someone something. And sometimes people won't do what they're supposed to do unless you dash them something.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Or they don't do it up to as high standards if you don't dash them something.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you've gotten some support. And then getting equipment. How are you getting equipment? Is that also through donations, through some of your relationships with people?
So a lot of my past teammates, there's even a big group in the US. It's almost like you think of a Nike for water polo. They make the swimsuits, they make the balls, they make caps, they make goggles, they make everything. They're one of the first people that reached out and said, hey, we get it. We completely get it. We understand what you need. And they sent over goals, sent over balls, caps, everything you need to start a program. Whistles, cones, and that's how I was able to create this thing happening, whiteboards. And then when I would go back to the US, debrief with them, saying this was great, we need this, can you help us with that? So it was that company, Cap 7, who would send us equipment, and then it would be other local club teams in California and say, hey, we have some gear we want to send to you to go to Ghana. Is that okay? And I would take that. And a lot of the stuff has been secondhand. We've had some volunteers that travel from the US and they give a bunch of equipment out and just kind of creating that connection, that bridge. And now the teams in California are excited because they will see their team logo being worn by the Ghana kids here. And now the kids in Ghana can research the local teams back in California, almost create this like pen pal situation. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's really awesome. So you started the league a few years ago.
Yeah. And
you've seen these kids grow.
Yeah.
What are some of the memorable moments of noticing something? Because when I watch them, one thing I noticed, because I've never played the sport. I mean, I've seen it, but I've never played it. But I noticed how they were practicing. One of them had the ball and he's practicing and he's just trying to hold it while he's, treading water. Yeah. And I could see on his face that he's really trying hard. And then when he might drop the ball, then he's frustrated. But I found it fascinating.
The focus.
Yeah.
The commitment to the focus.
Yeah. Is there something that you've noticed, maybe in one or two of them, that you really see that this person has really improved? Because as a coach, you do recognize which ones have the greatest strengths. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's I say this with every game, but a lot of the practices, I'll shout, you need to do it this way, this way, this way. And the secret with coaching is that when we shout, it means we really care. If we stop shouting, it means we don't care anymore. So the louder you're yelling at a kid, it means the more you're really passionate about making sure they do the job. So, you might teach a certain task or a skill, and they might not get it. And you just kind of say, you know what, fine, leave it alone.
And then over time, you see them doing that skill, like, not shooting right away or kind of making a fake move to make the goalie jump and then passing. Something just simple, taking an extra second to make a pass or not shoot the ball right away, or just seeing them learning how to tread. Or, for me, funny one is when we first started playing, they would swim, and then after they would do one play, they would swim to the side of the pool.
And rest?
And rest. And that made me very angry because you can't do, it's not football, you can't put your hands on your knees. Now seeing them just go up and down and not resting until they sub out, that's big. Or some would always catch the ball with two hands, but now they're being able to catch it with one hand, or just getting it, they're just understanding the rules and the moves and the ways you can draw a foul, the way you can get an ejection, the way you're supposed to swim with your head up, just things that it's encouraging. It's a little bit sad because the kids are growing up, but now we don't have to shout as much because they get it, Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're already doing it. Okay. Well, hey, okay, you've made the pass. Hey, look, okay, wow. So it's every game we've played, there's been a lot of things to be proud of, anybody can see that. And when we get volunteers that come in, they say, I was really shocked. The kids know how to tread water. They can hold the ball really well. They can pass, they can press, they know the positions, and yeah, it's really great. It's such an organic growth. And that's what I think I'm the most excited about when people come in and they see it. Because, it's a funny story. Oh, the African team wants to play water polo. Okay, come on. But then they actually play really well. And now they're playing with a character that deserves respect. It's not just a charity story, That's the biggest thing, that it's not a cute story. Yeah, we are, sure, first all-black team. Yeah, thank you for the recognition, but it's also playing to be competitive. That's why we're training them so hard. That's why we have people coming in, and I'll keep coming back and keep pushing the mission, So there's a lot. There's a lot of good memories, a lot of good moments, and they just continue to improve.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit because you are an artist. Correct. As well, doing music. Have the kids seen you do any of your performances or heard any of your music?
I don't think the kids have ever seen me perform yet, because I like to keep it pretty, hey, I'm your coach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I asked because sometimes kids discover things online, right? They could be online and then they find out, hey, Coach Asante's a rapper. And then start talking about it. So I just was curious.
I think they have. Mr. Actually, he found out. He downloaded all my songs and
he
played
did?
them. Oh, God, yeah. It's inevitable, too, because as much as I'm a coach, it's the same as when I'm an artist. When I step into that role, it's boom, there's no mistake that, yeah, that's a rapper. Oh, yeah, that's a coach. So, yeah, they'll walk on the pool deck and they'll play my music and then they'll rap my songs. They'll start clapping and freestyle. It's actually really, really cool. But you can't tell them that because then, I'm not your friend. I'm your coach. I'm your artist. But secretly, it's like, okay, and then that's also, it adds more, purpose for me as a mentor, okay, you have to really now manage how you walk, how you carry yourself, because now, your response, your rapport, whatever, is their, their guideline, their figure. They're going to watch how you move. So it keeps me very on my toes. Like even with the Italy denial, as much as I wanted to shout and scream and break everything, it's like, all right, I have to
be calm.
Be cool.
For them especially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When everything is cool, then I'll have my time to break and smash everything. But for them, you got to be the figure. But yeah, they definitely are aware. They are aware. The coach is a rapper.
So what are you hoping for in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years?
So in the 2 years, for sure, my biggest thing is we want to get some of these kids that are now getting older, some of our 16, 17-year-olds, to play university in the U.S. Just that chance to play abroad and really use water polo as a vehicle to get them into these top schools. And then, continuing to have our established junior national teams, senior national teams to get the invitations to go out and compete, whether it's a third division, second division, or whatever. Just the fact that we have a team that's able to compete. And then when you have that process comes the invitations to attend these qualifying tournaments that are the next step to Olympics,
right.
And again, anybody will tell you, hey, it's a big process and we're going against organizations of water polo that have been around for hundreds of years, and we're 5 years old, you know? So I know I am happy seeing more representation in the sport, you know, that may or may not be a result of our movement with Black Star Polo. And I just like to see more people, you know, take on that challenge, take on that initiative. I mean, if it's seeing more athletes, more volunteers coming to Ghana to nationalize themselves, that's great. If it's more of our kids getting invitations to go to Europe and Brazil to play, that's great too. But just to have this movement, you know, be a core movement in representation and, you know, letting them break down all these barriers of black people can't swim, we can't float, drowning, blah, 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 you know, like it's a beacon of hope and inspiration. So.
Where is those stereotypes coming from regarding black people in swimming?
In the U.S., really? It's interesting. I've seen it on two sides. I've seen the U.S., you know, and that comes from our barriers of segregation, white-only pools, wade in the water, sit-ins, you know, and it's just trauma. And then when it comes to Africa, it's transatlantic slave trade, you know, where you're taken from your village, you're placed in chains, you're on the boat, and life is so terrible that the only option, the only way to get out of that terrible reality is jumping overboard. And jumping overboard with your chains on, you can't survive, you'll drown. So it's these seeds that have been planted of looking at the water as an escape from a traumatic reality. And then also in the US, just listen, if I try to go to the pool, they're gonna throw me in jail, they're gonna hose me down. Let me just stick to baseball, basketball, track and fields. You know, let me go to where I'm not going to be, you know, discriminated against. So it's been interesting to see it on both sides, you know, how it's been a root in the US and how it's been a generational thing in Africa. And I
think adding to here is also there's this perception that the ocean is so powerful that it'll just wash you away even. Because I remember wanting to go to the beach when I was in my 20s. And I was staying at my aunt's place and she was like, she didn't want me to go to the beach because she's like, the ocean will take you away.
Wow.
Yeah, because we have areas where the tides come up so high here, like in the Volta region especially, you get these, you know, flooding that happens because the tide just comes in, and if you can't swim and you get washed away. Yeah. It's like there's people have this perception.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And you know, spirits and
the spiritual things, Mami Wata.
Yeah. And I remember that too. The first time, so 2021 when I was here and I was really starting the program, you know, people would say, hey, you know, be careful, there's spirits in the water, you don't want to do this. And I said, you know, thank you, but it's okay. I think we'll be all right. Then there was a story that came out of 20 kids that went out into the lake and 19 drowned. And one came back in the Volta, was somewhere out there in the Volta region, 2021, yep. And
was it the boat were they in a boat going to school or something? I'm trying to remember.
No, it was some kids, they went out and they said they saw some lady. So they went out to the lake and they drowned. And then only one came back and they interviewed the kid and they said, yeah. And then there was the other story of, what's the guy? Some artist. He went out to the ocean and they couldn't find him anymore. Castro or something.
Oh, Castro.
Is it Castro?
Castro went out in the boat and they never saw him again.
Yeah, that might have been it.
And that was like 10 years ago maybe?
These stories, they all come back to me and they said, are you sure you want to do this, man? Look at what happened. Look at these kids going into the lake. So there's a high level of caution and attention to detail that I carry with me because it's true. If anything happens, now I'm just contributing to the statistics. So that's where we have to make sure we have our lifeguards, our water safety agents, our professionals, our coaches. Everybody has to have all hands on deck. And now it's beautiful too because a lot of the kids, they grew up to become lifeguards. And some of the kids teach swimming lessons. So we had games in the lake where somebody will get a muscle pull or a cramp and the benches will clear. They'll jump in the water and pull them out of the water and, you know, prevent them from drowning. So yeah, water polo is the tip of the iceberg. It's more so just getting them to break down that stereotype. Because now when the kids go to the US and they get interviewed, do you think there's any racism in aquatics? They say no, because all my teammates are black. And No, we just came here to play. I don't think
They don't know.
it's not their reality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's not
beautiful.
their reality. Yeah, definitely. I want to touch a little bit on diaspora and culture before I let you go, because I know you got a busy schedule. You are, as I said earlier, your dad is Ghanaian, your
Yep.
mom's African American.
Correct.
Growing up, did you ever experience anything that was significant? Because I had spoken to somebody who his also same thing. His mom is African American, his dad is Ghanaian, who talked about when he's with his African American family and hearing them sometimes joke about stereotypes about Africans, and then when he's with his African side of the family, them talking about stereotypes about African Americans. So he was like, he felt like he's caught in the middle, because he'll be with one side of the family defending the other side that they're making jokes about, and then you're with the other side defending the other side again about who they're making jokes about. So he talked about that dynamic. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
That's very
for
interesting.
yourself.
I don't think we ever experienced that so much directly. I think it may just be also being I guess on my dad's side, first generation. You know, we're first generation because all my dad's side of the family, they were born in Ghana. And then mom's side is, you know, all USA.
That's the same thing with this guy.
Yeah, we're straight African American, you know, right down the middle. And yeah, I think they were good. I think everybody knew, and they did a good enough job not to let that, you know, seep into our upbringing, because we were always happy visiting cousins on mom's side. Going to granddaddy's house was cool. Going to grandma's house was cool, and hanging out with the cousins, hanging out with our first generation cousins on dad's side, and then hanging out with cousins on mom's side. You know, there was never, to my knowledge, there was never.
That's good.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
good. That's good.
We never felt that divide.
That's good. Did you ever notice any similarities? Because I noticed that when there's people who move from diaspora to Ghana, and they talk about similarities that they noticed that they didn't even realize until they got here. Like, for instance, there was someone from New Orleans who was talking about when they saw a marching band at a funeral here, and they were like, the marching band, they were playing the music, reminded her so much of being in New Orleans and how some of the marching bands are playing their music. So she was like, oh wow, she felt like this spiritual thing here that was similar to where she came from.
The biggest thing that I can say to that is it was 2019, and so 2018, that was when I made the first donation, or the first brought the equipment, and to move our grandma back from US to Ghana, because she was living there. Yep. So that was the big reason to come back. So because she didn't
want to stay there.
She was done, you know. She's like, I'm ready to come back. So that was 2018. Then in February 2019, she passes away. So we come back to Ghana, to Kumasi, for the 1 week celebration for, you know, the cultural funeral rites.
Right, and for those who don't know, in Ghana, most of the cultures do a 1 week celebration of life.
Yes.
Just mentioning that, because some people will be like, what do you mean 1 week? Don't you bury them in 1 week? Because that's what we do in North America. Within a week or two, a person's buried.
Yeah, but Ghana's different rules. So when we did that ceremony, and you have the sunrise to sunset, the drums and the dancing, and everybody comes in and we just sit down and seeing, you know, the dancers just dancing around the offerings that we gave to grandma, that was one thing. Then about 4 or 5 months later in the US, I'm teaching and I'm performing, I'm in now rapper mode, this rapper that passed away, Nipsey Hussle.
Yes.
I think he got shot.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, we went up to his shop in LA, and the whole block was filled with, you know, it was a vigil. And while we were there was a guy who was, you know, just dancing, almost very similar, but I think it was, you know, sea walking. And he just had music playing, and he was alone, and he was just dancing, you know, around. And I was like, yo, wait a second, this is wild. Because I just saw something very similar to this in Africa, and just that connection between, I don't know, the way we pay our respects, the way we dance, the way we just kind of, I don't know, just dance, music and dance to show respect to those that passed on. That was I think a very cathartic moment for me, just to say, like, wait a second, we're not different at all. This is the same thing we're doing. So
wow.
Yeah, that was one of the things.
Wow. So you have, as I said, you have earlier, you have a tournament this weekend.
Yeah, we do.
What are you doing to prep for the weekend?
So this week is really exciting because I'm, starting to see everything that I wrote down years ago and what I would want to have happen. We have got an official from the U.S., and Croatia. He's here now for the week. He's going to be giving clinics at different schools and at some of the pools that we've trained at, just to give a better understanding of the game, and so that locals here can know the game well enough to run tournaments on their own. So leading up to the games on Saturday, we'll have a clinic Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at all of our places, Burma Camp, University of Ghana, Awutu Winton, and we start at Lincoln Community School tomorrow on Tuesday. And that was something that I always wanted to do because, it's not just about getting the fitness, getting the bodies, getting them strong, it's the mind too. Because you can be the strongest player, but if you don't know the rules, you're not going to be able to do too much. So we're prepping them with these clinics to maybe even certify some people, getting our athletes that much more prepared. We're going to keep training, but now we're going to have this referee coming to show them what a proper foul is, what an exclusion is, what you can't do, what these whistles mean. And, that's the biggest thing for me, is that it's having professionals from outside of Ghana that are in the water polo world coming here to teach, giving a hands-on demonstration of, what you need to know to be a high level and take it to the next level to be a contender, So I'm happy about that. I'm very, very happy about that. Shout out to Mr. Tony. He's out here.
So is it going to be broadcast anywhere that people can watch?
I think we'll do our live stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll try to do a live stream. We've done some really good programs with GBC. So we'll do our best to live stream it. And if not, you can catch us on the social media pages, the Black Star page at BSPWPC, my Instagram page at Sante Prince. And we're just going to do our best to broadcast it and get the word out. And that's the only reason we've been able to get to this point, is just continuing posting, sharing, tagging, talking about it. And, I'm looking forward to, years down the line when it's an invitational, where we have a team from the U.S., a team from South Africa, a team from Kenya, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia coming here to play in Ghana. And now we have our own little African championships.
Yeah, that would be so amazing. That is a great long-term vision.
Okay, thank you. Because now I'm going to speak on something I put in my proposal, and I think we can debut it this December. This plan that I have for that tournament, it's called the Diaspora Division, where you basically get different players from around the world coming to Ghana to play for a tournament. And it's maybe like a week-long tournament to kind of facilitate this dream of African championships, Because, there's not a lot of us, but there's a good amount of us black water polo players around the world that would love the opportunity to be here and play amongst other Africans. I know that's true because I'm one of them, And to have this Diaspora Division, I think it'd be a really cool thing around December, the same way we have the All-Star Celebrity Basketball game,
Yeah.
Except something where it's like aquatics based,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
That would be. Now, if anyone wants to support you and what you're doing, how can they, what would you like for them to do to support you?
The best thing you can do to support us is we have a GoFundMe. We're trying to finish up reaching our goal this year. If you just Google Black Star Polo GoFundMe, you'll see it. And you can make a donation to help us with our pool space, food, awards, dashing whoever needs to get dashed. And then just sharing all of our information, sharing our programs, and getting the word out, because the word of mouth has been the biggest strength we've had in letting people know that, hey, here is this program that's happening, here's how you can support, come by, bring food, bring water, bring your funds, bring your positive energy. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then your music?
Hey, my music. I got to get back to the music, man, I promise. Don't worry. Music, you can catch me everywhere on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. Just look up Sante Prince, all right? The music is only going to get so much better, because I feel like, I don't have to rap to be a rapper. I don't have to be an artist. I think I am one, Everything I'm doing is creating, and these experiences have just set this foundation for some beautiful content that's going to come out. So I haven't recorded anything just yet, but there's been a lot of really cool live performances that I've done. And, I think I'm excited for the next project that I put out. So just keep your eyes peeled.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time out today of your busy schedule, because
Yeah.
I know the next few days leading up to the tournament is going to be just like back to back to back to back things.
Bang, 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 bang.
So thank you for taking the time out today.
Hey, Ivy
I
Prosper.
appreciate you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bless
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to share this video so that more people know about what he's doing with water polo in Ghana and beyond. And like this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future videos on this channel. My name is Ivy Prosper. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.